Chapter 1. Sarah. My marital journey has been a shadow of what I had envisioned. With hopes that my marriage could be better, I decided to give my husband a special treat. It was his birthday. I organized a surprise party for him, and also planned to break the news of my pregnancy to him. The spark of our love died with each passing day after our wedding ceremony. However, I want to rekindle the spark today. Been a special day for him. It is late. Why is he not back? Debbie asked, making me look at my wristwatch. I have no idea. I sighed, gesturing for her to sit beside me in the dining room. Let me give him a call, she said. Without wasting much time, she picked up her phone. Debbie, don't call him. The beauty of the surprise party would be ruined. Debbie was my husband's younger sister. In fact, only sibling, and she scolds him whenever he is wrong. Sometimes, I felt she was disrespecting him, but then, he accepted his wrong. I guess it was out of the love they had for each other as a brother and sister. I had invited her over as a surprise too to her brother. What do you mean? He usually returns home before this time. With a furrowed brow, she pointed at the wall clock. Could it be something is wrong? If he returns when we have fallen asleep, then the aim of the surprise has been defeated. Let's exercise patience, I assured her, but my thought whispered to me that there was sense in Debbie's words. I don't want her to call him. The shock and joy on his face when he sees the cakes, wines, and different dishes on the table, and the people present would mean a lot to him, thereby igniting the hope of a happy home. Now I see why you both are yet to have a child, or say children. He is always busy with work, even when you both should be making babies. You both have been married for 5 good years. There is a lot I should talk to my brother about. I smiled. Her words made me shy, but she had a point. All she said was valid. She was in her late 20s, and I admired her sense of reasoning and understanding. If you are tired, please have your rest. The moment I hear the sound of his car, I paused and looked at her. I will reach out to you before getting the door. Her expression showed that she wasn't in agreement with my suggestion. Could it be that Caleb, my dear husband, didn't find me worthy to celebrate his birthday with? At this point, I recalled his last birthday. He returned from work very early, but after 2 hours he left the house. I didn't even know when he returned home the next day. Will history repeat itself today? Finally, Caleb is back, I said, after hearing a car horn. Wearing a bright smile, I couldn't explain why I felt so elated. Maybe because thoughts of him not coming home tonight were rendered invalid. Everything is in place, Debbie uttered as she switched off the lights. I'll answer the door, I said. I stood and quickly went to open the door. I have to make things work, at least for the sake of my unborn child. As I entered the sitting room, I gazed at Caleb's picture, which was framed and hanging on the wall, before opening the door. To my surprise, I found Silas at the door and not my husband. Silas was my husband's best friend and business partner. He should know why Caleb is not home yet. Hi, Silas, I greeted warmly. Hello, Sarah. Sorry I arrived late. Is the party over? Over? I asked, not able to hide my confusion. I gestured for him to come in, and I locked the door. Yeah, I had to finish some official assignments. On the invitation card you sent to me, the party was stated to start by 8 p.m. Alright, but I was unable to complete my statement because he interrupted me. Where is he? Is he enjoying himself and pretending not to hear my voice? He asked jokingly. Your friend is not back. I have been anticipating his arrival, I said, trying to hide my pain with a fake smile. You guys are always together. You should know his whereabouts. Come off it. Silas glanced at his phone. It is past 9, and your husband left his office around 5 p.m., making it known that he was closing early, so he could have fun since today is his birthday. I heaved. Where could he be then? I promise I have no idea. Silas, come with me. You can have a drink before he arrives, I suggested, but I could feel tears welling in my eyes. He nodded and followed after me. I put on the lights. Upon seeing Debbie, he was surprised. He and Caleb had been friends from childhood, so there was no how Silas wouldn't know Debbie. Look who we have here, Silas said happily as he took the seat opposite Debbie. Good to see you, Silas, Debbie replied with a bright smile. However, your friend is not yet back home. Is there something you would like us to know? Nothing, my dear. We deserve an explanation from him when he returns. Silas wore a serious look. All right, Debbie said reluctantly. I sat beside Debbie. They chatted about their memories when they were much younger, filling the air with laughter and happiness. I leaned on the chair and closed my eyes. My childhood memories also flashed through my mind. I recall how Caleb got me gifts and spent time with me, and I returned the gesture. Throughout my college days, he was jealous whenever I received gifts from other male friends. But after marriage, everything changed. I would have said he was pretending to love me genuinely before marriage for reason best known to him. But I can't bring myself to accept that. 2 hours after Silas' arrival, Caleb had still not returned home. All I spent to make his birthday memorable turned out to be a waste. I have to go now, it is late, Silas said with a low tone. Take care of yourself. My feet were too heavy to move, because of how embarrassed I felt. In response to him, I gave a nod and waved at him. Debbie yawned. I have to go to bed. I faked a smile. I felt forsaken. How could the man I love, the man I exchanged marital vows with, stayed out this late, without bothering to call me to say why? He has not been the best husband to me, but I did not expect him to treat me with such disrespect. I placed my head on the table, and with so many things racing in my mind, I eventually dozed off. The blaring sound of the doorbell disrupted my moment of peace. I hissed and refused to get the door. Debbie came downstairs, and she greeted me with a smile. She threw glances, as though she was asking if I spent the night in the dining room. She must have read my mind, and decided to get the door. Sarah, someone is here to see you. Debbie's voice drew my attention. After minutes of patting my face, and wondering who came to see me at 7 in the morning, I went to the sitting room. Chapter 2. Sarah. Hi Sarah. It's quite early but I have a message for you. And it's from your husband, Uriel uttered politely. Let's dive into business. Uriel was Caleb's lawyer. He hardly came to the house. All their meeting was usually held in the office. I am curious to know why he came to see me. Alright, please have a seat, I said calmly and sat on the couch beside him. Debbie turned to excuse us, but was stopped by Uriel. You should be here too. Really? Debbie muttered. After a few seconds of hesitation, she sat beside me. Uriel pulled out a stack of documents from his briefcase. Anxious, I stared at him. He handed me a paper. Read through, it is your copy, he said, with his eyes darting between Debbie and I. I read through the documents, tears welling in my eyes. Is this real? I managed to ask, my lips trembling as I tried to hide my pain. Yes, it is from your husband, Caleb. He wants a divorce, and you have to sign it immediately, Uriel said unapologetically. I couldn't believe my ears. I stare at the paper with teary eyes. Caleb wants us to get a divorce, and he doesn't deem it fit that he should break the news to me himself. It is a lot to process at a time. He should have broken this news to her himself. Don't he have an iota of respect for their marital vows? Debbie flared up. Uriel maintained a cold look. He has no fault in all this. He was just carrying out the task his client gave him. I can't do anything about this, I am sorry. Please sign it, Uriel pleaded. I couldn't hold my pain anymore. I need to confirm this from Caleb. I picked up my phone and placed a video call to him. The call connected and after 5 seconds he answered the call. Why are you calling me, woman? Caleb's deep voice rang out. I am not familiar with the room he was, but all I can see via the video screams luxury. Caleb, why are you treating me this way? My voice shook, unable to express all that raced in my mind. I expected you to return home yesterday, so we can celebrate your birthday with you, but you didn't. The baffling thing is that you sent your lawyer to deliver divorce papers to me. It only means our 5 years of living together mean nothing to you. Are you sure you want us to get a divorce? If I am not sure, Uriel wouldn't be there in the first place. Just sign it. Our marriage moved from beautiful to ugly. It is best we go our different path. He replied coldly. Leave my life for good. Leave my life for good. The words rang severally in my mind. Does he mean all the years we spent together, I was nothing but bad luck to him? Debbie and Uriel threw glances at me as they heard all he said. I never knew I would have to face such a cold and painful reality. Looking intently at my phone screen, I saw a lady putting on a white towel. She held 2 glasses of juice and gave one to Caleb. They looked happy in each other's company. Is it possible for 2 individuals to have a striking resemblance? I couldn't believe my eyes. The lady is my best friend, Laura. I invited her to the surprise party I organized for my husband, but she said she wouldn't make it because she had an impromptu meeting to attend. Now I connected the dots. I couldn't keep calm, so I yelled, Laura, how could you flirt with my husband? Your ex-husband, my friend. It is not my fault that I am making him feel happy and safe. Laura sipped her drink and giggled. I also had my eyes on him. You were just lucky to have him first. I couldn't believe my best friend could say this. Little wonder. She had advised me to have a divorce since my marriage wasn't working. You are a wolf in sheep's clothing, Laura. I won't have you talk to her in that manner, Caleb shouted. We are done here, he added coldly as he ended the call. I saw the concern in Debbie and Uriel's eyes and I understood. There was nothing they could do about it. I nodded in acceptance of my present predicament. I requested a pen from Uriel and signed the divorce paper. I handed it to him and left for the bedroom. I arranged my clothes and shoes into a box and pulled it out. I was heartbroken to even recall that I was yet to take my bath. I felt like an intruder and had to leave the house at that moment. Approaching the exit door, Debbie stood up at a fast pace. Do you want to leave? Give it a little time and I will talk to him, she said solemnly. What would make Caleb change his mind? I have signed the papers. No point in trying to make things work out again. You don't have to worry. He is an adult and can make decisions on his own, I said with a fake smile evident on my face. Give your marriage another chance. Remember your marital vows and make it work again. Debbie persuaded, but I remained indifferent. Vows? The vows meant nothing to him otherwise. Tears welled in my eyes and I announced, I am leaving for good. Thank you. Without wasting a minute, I left the house in pain. I got into a taxi and it zoomed off. A lot of my dreams did I let go just to be with Caleb. In the end, it wasn't worth it. Since I'm alive, there is still a possibility of achieving my dreams. Soon, the taxi came to a halt at my destination. It has been over 6 months since I came here. I paid the driver and came out of the car holding my box tightly. It feels good to be here, I whispered as I walked in. My aunt wanted me to visit her frequently, but she had to understand that I was married and needed to build my home. Now I'm back to her abode after a failed marriage. Sarah, it is a good thing you remembered me today, my Aunt Olivia uttered happily. If only she knew why I came here. Tears forced their way out, and I told her about my divorce. She pulled me into a warm embrace. 5 years is a whole lot, but you have to let it go. Forget about your so-called husband and best friend. I gave a nod and she led me to my room. Everything remained as it was. I was tempted to ask if no one dwelled in the room when I was away. Aunt Olivia cares so much for me after the demise of my parent. She is the only family I have now. This is the right time, my aunt smiled. In your parents' will, you are entitled to a huge amount of money. I didn't tell you about it because I felt something odd about Caleb, and he might want to take the money from you. This means a lot, thank you. I hugged her tightly. When she left the room, I sighed as I felt my flames of hope rekindled again. It is time to let go of the past, brace up, and build my dreams. Chapter 3. It's been 2 months since my marital crisis, but with each day, I did what I like best, crafting out unique designs. I was scrolling through my latest fabric designs on my laptop when my phone vibrated, indicating a notification. I reluctantly picked up the phone, and it was an email. I read through, and it showed that I have been selected to work with an international agency as their fashion designer. I wondered if I was dreaming. I dialed Aunt Olivia's number to share the news, and she answered almost immediately. Hi, Aunt Olivia. I got an email from an international agency, I uttered, with excitement visible in my voice. I added, I know you are behind it. I can't thank you enough. Sarah, if I don't do it for you, who will? Aunt Olivia said happily on the other end. I recommended you to a client of mine who was organizing a show, and that is it. Ensure you send a reply indicating you have accepted the offer. I will do that right now. That reminds me, I saw Debbie a few hours ago, and she was pained about how your marriage with her brother ended. Aunt Olivia cleared her throat. I made it known to her that you were over it. She shouldn't be worried. I sighed. Thanks, Aunt. Was it so easy to get over such a thing? I appreciate that Debbie always had my best interest at heart, but I hope she understands that it is for the best. After the call, I sent a reply to the email. It is good to hear from you. I am delighted to work with you on this project. Thank you. Almost immediately, a call from an unknown number came in. Anxiously, I answered. Hi, ma'am, Sarah. Sorry, I don't know whether to address you as a Mrs. or a Mississippi. Does the appellation matter? I said to myself. Sarah is fine. Who am I on to? I said professionally as I crossed my leg over the other. I am reaching out to you concerning the email of the job you accepted as the fashion designer for our brand. Oh, my pleasure. So, you have to be with us soon. I will send you the address and other important details via your email. Your feeding and accommodation will be taken care of. It was a big opportunity for me. I couldn't hide my joy. It would be a medium for my brand to be projected to a larger audience. With this I know I will be able to fend for myself and my fetus that I am patiently waiting to see. I felt whole and fulfilled. 10 minutes after the call ended, I got the address. I sighed, reality dawning on me that I had a lot to achieve. So fast, 3 weeks ran by. Using one of Aunt Olivia's cars, I drove to the scheduled venue. I couldn't explain the joy I felt. Indeed, old things had passed away and all things had become new. I placed my hand on my abdomen as I felt my fetus racing about. Some hours later, I halted at a skyscraper. I picked up my bag and got out of the car. I managed to watch my steps as I didn't want to look naive and mesmerized as I walked into the luxurious abode. I pulled my phone out and dialed the number that reached out to me weeks back. Hello, I have arrived. What next? I asked as my eyes ran through the numerous doors. Then the feminine voice at the other end replied, "Someone will be with you in a jiffy." I hung up. Just then, a lady dressed in a black short gown and pink low shoes approached me. "Hi, you must be Ma'am Sarah," she said with a bright smile. In response, I gave a nod. She continued, "Please, for confirmation purposes, show me the invitation email you got." "Sure," I uttered and showed her the invitation email I got. "Perfect, come with me," the lady uttered, leading the way. Soon, we entered into a large room. Everything in the room screamed luxury and wealth. What I saw outside was just the tip of the iceberg. I was offered a seat in the opposite direction of a man and a woman, and the lady who ushered me in left. "Welcome, Sarah. I am Josh. You'll be working with me and my team on this project for the next 3 months," the man said with a welcoming smile. Attentively, I fixed my eyes on the man. "Thank you, I promise to give my best input in this project. We all will be dwelling in the room reserved for us here till when the project is completed. This is because of impromptu meetings, which could come up any time of the day. And we also need a quiet place to work effectively," Josh said. I felt I could work effectively from home. But since it was an opportunity one couldn't afford to lose, I agreed to their terms and conditions. He continued, "It doesn't mean you don't have a social life. Be available when needed." The quiet woman suddenly spoke. "Let's see some of your designs." I can't deny the fact that though the woman looked a bit old, she commanded a superb and eloquent aura. I showed them the designs I had on my laptop, and they were impressed with it. They also made it known that my working area and all that I need have been provided in the room reserved for me. The treatment made me go down memory lane. When was the last time I got this kind of treatment? For hours, we deliberated on so many things. With each passing hour, my confidence in my ability and knowledge grew rapidly. I was in the midst of people who were well-grounded in their various fields, and their suggestions and contributions. Excellence was inevitable. The meeting widened my horizon. To them it might just be an ordinary meeting that was scheduled, but for me, it is my stepping stone to the next level. Chapter 4. 2 years later. Is everything ready? Where is Nellie? Aunt Olivia asked, wearing her earrings with a smile beaming on her face. I was so happy. I ensured everything was in place with the help of my employees. There was a lot to be grateful for, my career and my dear son Nellie. "Everything is in place, Aunt, and Nellie is fine," I replied excitedly as I patted my cheeks. Aunt Olivia and I were discussing about St. Atelier event when my phone suddenly rang. It was a call from Josh and I answered quickly. "I've sent more invitations to some top-tier fashion brands. They will be present at your event tomorrow. I am sure all of them will be impressed and would want to partner with you. I am proud of you." Josh's happy voice came from the other end of the call. "Oh my, I don't know how to appreciate you. You've proven to be a true friend all these years. Words are not enough to express my appreciation," I uttered with all humility. "You've proven to be exceptional in your field, and the least I can do is tell others about you. Cheers to more wins." He praised me, and I rolled my eyes as though he could see me. "Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's all I have to say, Josh." Accomplishing my dreams wouldn't have been easy if not for Aunt Olivia and Josh. Josh was also into the fashion industry, and we worked on the first project I got after my marriage with Caleb ended. He taught me how to use digital software to make my designs exquisite and unique. I established my brand, St. Atelier, and I've gotten numerous clients, and of course more profits. The event that will be happening the next day is a fashion hunt show that I will use to exhibit my latest collection and launch it. After the call, I picked up my phone to watch some reels on TikTok. I needed to have some time off work and have fun. The first video that welcomed me was that of Caleb and Laura in a romantic position. I felt my stomach twist like a knot. It's been a long time, yet their betrayal still pierced my heart. I quickly turned my data off, held my phone tightly, and hissed. Why the sudden change in mood? Aunt Olivia asked with confusion visible in her eyes as I glanced at her. I can't let the video get to me. How will I tell Aunt Olivia the reason behind my sudden change in mood? It is nothing. I just remembered I had a design to finish up by the end of today. I uttered and made my way to Nellie's room. Nellie was sleeping peacefully in his crib, and my heart couldn't help but tinged with joy. Caleb broke my heart, but Nellie has amended it to a large extent. I muttered to myself, walking out of the room slowly so as not to wake him up. I had no business with my ex-husband. Everything now revolves around me, Nellie, and my career. Sarah, we have to be at the office now. Aunt Olivia's voice filled the air. I returned downstairs and I could read the indifferent look she wore. She wanted to ask if everything was okay. She wanted to know if I told her the truth earlier, or if I was hiding something from her. I waved it off and led the way out of the house. As I drove us to Aunt Olivia's company, the air felt tense than ever, and I couldn't explain why. When we arrived, I heard the numerous greetings ringing from every side, but I remained quiet while Aunt Olivia responded. Aunt Olivia's secretary approached us in a hurry. Good morning, Ma. The meeting with Haley Ventures began a few minutes ago, and the representatives are waiting in the conference room. Aunt Olivia gave a nod. Yeah, right, I will be there now. I was about to tell Aunt Olivia that I would be waiting at her office when she said, Sarah, come with me. I know you have your business, but there is no crime in knowing my works too. I smiled fine. It was like she read my mind. I wondered how this woman knew me to the point of reading my thoughts. As we stepped into the conference room, memories of my dark past hit me. I coughed as I patted my chest. I tried to capture the face of the young man among 6 middle-aged people. Caleb Haley, I whispered. What deal is he here for? My words were audible to Aunt Olivia and she replied, I have no idea. I never knew it was a meeting with him. Just remain calm. A low exhale escaped my lips. I avoided his gaze and sat beside my aunt. I must say his aura has changed. Our paths have not crossed since the divorce papers saga, but he didn't look bad. He must have accomplished a lot over the years. Caleb looked at me. Hi, Sarah. I didn't bother replying as I extended my greeting to everyone. Good day, everyone. I could feel Caleb's eyes on me as my aunt anchored the meeting. The distance did a lot of harm. The man I once shared my heart with is now a total stranger to me. No connection. No spark. Nothing at all. I am impressed with your proposals on this project, Aunt Olivia. I must confess a lot has changed. I never knew you were the director of this firm. Good job, Caleb uttered respectfully, but his eyes were fixed on me. Thank you, Aunt Olivia said with a smile. 30 minutes later, the meeting was over. I walked closely behind Aunt Olivia when a male voice rang out. Why are you ignoring your husband, Sarah? The word husband irritated me. I shook my head and was about to take a step out when Aunt Olivia whispered, Face him, free your heart. Memories of my painful past engulfed my heart. It is best I face him so I can have a free mind. I looked at Caleb. You are not my husband. That bond was long broken. I exhaled and added, Caleb, I don't want to ever have anything to do with you. Really? You look beautiful as always. I must say, I am happy to see you, he said calmly. I hissed because I did not believe his words. He always knew the words to make one feel better, but now it will not work. Your happiness doesn't matter to me. Go tell that to your mistress. You sent me divorce papers without feeling guilty. We should have had a peaceful dialogue, but no, you treated me like a trash. Henceforth, I don't know you. You are in my past and long forgotten. He snorted, his expression unreadable. We will see about that. Your friend told me a lot about you. Why didn't you tell me you were unable to get pregnant? Because you have no womb resulting from several abortions. I frowned. What? Why are you pretending? I shook my head and said, I don't know what you are talking about. There is no point explaining anything to you now. You. Before he could complete his statement, I announced, I have better things to attend to. Aren't you happy to see me? Don't you miss me? Caleb said in a sarcastic tone. I turned to the door and took a deep breath. I can't let my emotions betray me before him. The Sarah he once knew is now renewed and transformed. You have no idea of what I have become since you betrayed me. Chapter 5. Caleb. Since we returned to California, your attitude towards me changed. Yesterday, I didn't even understand why you looked moody when you returned from the meeting. You refused to have your meal. Laura stood akimbo, throwing words at me. Do you even think it is easy to cook? It is just some personal stuff. You don't have to be worried. I replied indifferently. Can we have some fun together when you return from work? She asked seductively, and I wondered if everything revolves around sex. Sorry, that won't be possible. I have a lot to attend to. When I return home, I know I will be exhausted. I said with a tightened face. But you always create time for me. Caleb, what has changed? Please talk to me. She asked with a pitiful tone, trying to make me feel bad. She continued, Caleb, don't treat me this way. Don't you care about my feelings? We are together, yet I miss you like we are living in different worlds. She paused and added, hope it is not what I am thinking. Keep your thoughts to yourself, I said coldly. Please, I am not ready for all this. We will talk later. I waved her off and left for the office. Since Sarah left my life, nothing has brought me joy, not even Laura, whom I chose over her. Seeing her yesterday only complicated my feelings. However, I wasn't going to look weak and broken before her. I could barely concentrate when I got to the office. I couldn't forget my conversation with her. What did Sarah mean by, you have no idea of what I have become since you betrayed me? Was I a terrible husband? She knew how long we had come. I didn't know what prompted me to ask for a divorce. I understand that she is shattered and heartbroken, but I am in a worse situation. A dialogue could have saved the marriage. Nevertheless, I admire her courage and outspokenness. The Sarah I knew would never talk back at me, or look me right in the eyes when talking. Indeed, a lot has changed about her. My mind drifted to my door, which slowly creaked open. I knew that only Silas could enter my office without knocking. Caleb, what is wrong? You ignored my greeting earlier. Silas uttered with concern visible in his voice as he walked into my office. You look unhappy. He added, is something bothering you? Talk me, brother. I can't even explain, but I feel sick, I said, hitting my fingers against the table. Let's visit the hospital now. Visiting the hospital is not the solution to my sickness. I let out a low sigh. Lowering my voice, I muttered, I saw her yesterday. Who? He asked with widened eyes. Sarah. This is the best time to tell you my mind, man. You were away from the country, and we didn't talk about this. Yet you pretended like nothing happened. What made you feel Laura was better? With each of his words, guilt ran through my veins. Silas wasn't just my business partner, but my best friend. We've come a long way, and I'm not amazed that he could point out my flaws to me. How do I make him understand that Laura was my mistake, and I'll choose Sarah over and over again? How do I admit that I regret my actions towards her? How do I admit that I want to have her back? How do I sort it out? I couldn't admit it to him, at least not yet. Forget it, Silas. It is nothing serious. I lied, but he didn't buy my words. Admit your mistakes. You have been a shadow of yourself since the divorce. You should discuss it with her. She should have a soft spot for you, but I know a lot must have changed. Silas explained, and I placed my head on my table. After some seconds, I raised my head and glanced at him. Was it until I screamed before he would understand that I wasn't ready for this? I need some time to think. I rubbed my temples. Think about what? How she hoped for you to return that night to celebrate your birthday with you. How she went out of her comfort zone to organize a surprise party for you. In the end, it was just a waste. Just let it slide, please, I begged. If I have the opportunity to have someone like her, or even her, just know I will grab her with my full arms and love. I won't her off my reach, Silas replied and winked. I stood up abruptly. Don't you dare. If you try that, I won't mind chopping your fingers off. I would have harmed you before remembering we are friends. Sarah is mine. She belongs to me, and she will remain mine forever. Finally, you have admitted. He smiled. He pushed me to my limit to make his point clear, and he was successful. When will our goods arrive? We need them for production next week. How is the new branch thriving? Any feedback from the manager? I quickly diverted the discussion. Silas cleared his throat. Everything is going well so far. No cause for alarm. There is a huge cause for alarm. I hope my personal life does not affect my business and career. I thought. He added, any plan for tonight? No. I replied indifferently, glancing at him. Okay. There is this event that has been the talk of the town. It is within the fashion industry, St. Atelier. I know you are a lover of the latest designs. You could even get some collections for me. What are friends for? He laughed and continued. Let's feed our eyes tonight. But I was unable to talk as he interrupted me. I won't take no for an answer, he said as he left my office. I just returned to the country. Hanging out with Silas and driving around the area isn't a bad idea. It is far better than returning to Laura, who is always nagging. I don't know why, but I felt the night holds something unusual. Chapter 6. Caleb. I decided to go with Silas to freshen up at his house and purchase a new outfit that I will use tonight. All this while my phone rang. It was a call from Laura. I wasn't in the mood to talk. I needed time to fix my mind. I assured myself that I was going to talk with Sarah, but I couldn't tell how easy or how soon it would be. After some minutes of being reluctant, I answered Laura's call because Silas asked me to. Why did you ignore my call? Why aren't you home yet? Do you need a lecture on how to be a caring and loving husband? You are becoming unbearable. Her fury rang out from the other end. I sighed and raced my hand through my hair. If only this lady knew the mess my heart is battling with, then the least she would do is to give me peace. I don't have time for this. If you can't bear with it, please you can leave. I replied confidently. What? Caleb, what has come over you? We need to sort this out in person. When will you return home? I am waiting. With the shock evident in her voice, she tried to keep her cool. I have something to attend to. I have to go, I announced. Hold on. She couldn't complete her statement as I abruptly ended the call. You have to be patient in handling Laura, Silas uttered as he arranged his tie. I know, right? It is my mistake. I have to deal with it, I said calmly, finding it hard to swallow saliva. Soon, we were dressed and made our way to the venue of the event in my car. I was curious to know the people or person behind the event that has been the talk of the town. A partnership won't be a bad idea, I thought. Through the drive, my heart couldn't help but think about Sarah. When we get to the fashion event, my mind's focus will eventually be diverted. I was sorry for all I did to Sarah. I hope my mistakes can be corrected. Her words the last time we met made it obvious that she was over me and didn't want to have anything to do with me. Was returning to California a wrong step? About half an hour later, we arrived at our destination. This is breathtaking. I never knew the latest designs of houses existed in this vicinity. I couldn't help but express my views. A lot has changed in this city. Pick a day to drive around, and you will confirm that, Silas uttered with a smile. There is no place like a home, but only a fool like you were before will choose a place other than home. Silas disrespects me without any remorse. Sometimes I wonder who is the superior. He is a thorn in my flesh that I can't do without. Everything about the mansion was exquisite. From the beautiful flowers at the entrance to the well-illuminated vicinity, to the outstanding runway prepared for models that were pleasing and soothing to the soul. Saying the mansion is huge was an understatement. Who owns this place? Was it rented for this event? I had no choice but to ask. Rented? I don't think so. We will find out soon, said Silas. After exchanging pleasantries with some familiar guests, I and Silas had our seats. My eyes were fixed on the young lady, who held the microphone to give the welcome speech and introduce special guests. After some minutes, the lady urged everyone to stand to give a round of applause to Mississippi Tonks for organizing a unique event. I remember Sarah also bears the surname Tonks. Several people can bear a name after all, so I waved it off. I rolled my eyes and almost fell when I saw Sarah walking up the stage. Unbelievably, my ex-wife was behind such a wonderful event. More than ever, I knew I had lost a precious treasure. She had a red short gown on which made her hourglass figure noticeable. Her ponytail hair and light makeup made her elegant and charming. She exchanged handshake with all the special guests, and I grew jealous when I saw a man planting kisses on her hand. I never expected to see her again so soon. And she was more beautiful than the last time we met. I have to find a way to have a word with her. I quickly slammed my hand against Silas' back. He was engrossed sipping his drink and scrolling through his phone. Sarah Tonks, my ex-wife, organized this event, I said calmly. I added, Sarah is the CEO of St. Atelier. Are you aware that she was the host of this event and kept it away from me? Silas cleared his throat. If I had an idea about who organized the event, I would have told you. I promise I am more surprised than you are. I sat and leaned on the seat, thinking of the next thing to do. My gaze didn't deviate from Sarah as I sipped my drinks. While she was discussing with the guest at the high table, a young man walked up to her and kissed her cheeks. The bright smile that beamed from Sarah's face showed that she liked the kiss. I couldn't help but wonder who the man was. Was it that she was now married to another man? Or could it be she is in a relationship that is leading to something serious? Jealousy, guilt, and anger raced in my mind. I slammed the table hard, which drew the attention of those sitting behind me. Just then, models began to show St. Atelier's latest designs, and all were breathtaking. After 10 models had showcased their outfits, the little boy who came to show the collection of kids drew my attention. I was gobsmacked. The little boy was a mini version of me. I had to stand and take a snapshot of him. Was I just thinking wild? Or was my imagination far beyond normal? I asked myself. Let us leave if you cannot bear seeing her. I turned to hear Silas' concerned voice. Was leaving the solution? How long will I flee from the questions in my head that need answers? I will go out to cool off. I will be back in a jiffy, I said with a fake smile. With my hands in my pocket, I paced around a waterfall which was outside the mansion. I overheard the discussion between a man and a woman. I have been crushing on Sarah Tonks for some time now. The man said sheepishly, Brother, why haven't you made your intentions to her? Well, I once heard she was once married but now divorced. The woman uttered confidently, I will look into that. I am always shy to express my feelings to her, said the man. I understand. If you need me to come in, just let me know. Don't be like that her foolish husband who divorced her for reasons best known to him. Wherever he is, I am sure he will be gnashing his teeth in regrets when he finds out how successful his ex-wife had become. The woman uttered coldly, I now have many rivals to contend with to win Sarah again. She was right, I am gnashing my teeth in regrets. Yeah, I am foolish. It was good they didn't see my face. There was a high possibility of them recognizing me. I quickly moved from that spot. At that moment my phone rang. It was a call from Silas. I am at the parking lot, let's leave. He spoke softly. I felt he blamed himself for inviting me to the fashion gala, where I unexpectedly met Sarah. Hey man, the event is not over yet. I teased him. He didn't fall for it. With an indifferent tone he said, Let's go home. I didn't bother to argue. Maybe leaving will give me time to get myself together to face Sarah another time. Upon getting to the parking lot, I saw Silas and a little boy chatting and laughing out loud. I recognized the boy. He was the one I saw on the runway earlier. What do you mean by you are a superhero? Silas asked the boy. Because my mom and grandaunt call me a superhero. The boy said with an ounce of pride evident in his voice. Some folks are having fun here, I uttered, drawing their attention. Yeah, right. The boy uttered and turned to leave. Hold on, I said to the boy. Silas is your friend, and he is also my friend. That implies you are my friend too. My mom forbids me from talking to strangers. I was just out here looking for my maid because I am thirsty and I saw him. The boy mumbled. I felt attached to the boy, and the heavy burden in my heart lighted up a bit. Thirsty? Follow me to the event venue, and I will give you water, I said. Without wasting time, Silas and the boy followed after me. Chapter 7. Sarah. St. Atelier has gotten a lot of partnership deals, and the latest designs were launched at values that I never had dreamt of. Everything went so well. Interacting with dignitaries and some special guests made my day. I felt when I was married, I was living in the shadow of my dreams. Josh arrived a bit late because he went to welcome some guests for the event from the airport. The moment he briefed me about their arrival, I was excited to greet them. Having international brands at my event and having them partner with me made my joy immeasurable. Josh always went out of his comfort zone to help me out. All my achievements can't be complete without mentioning him. After the models had showcased the latest collection, there was a special seat allocated for them to sit at the event. However, I noticed that the moment Nelly got off the runway, he made his way out. I assumed he needed something and was out to look for his maid. Upon seeing his maid, I asked about Nelly, but she claimed she had not seen him. I became tense. I whispered to Josh to keep the special guest entertained as I excused myself to look for Nelly. I stumbled on Aunt Olivia, and with a fearful look I said, I can't find Nelly. I was returning from the gate to the entrance of our house, but the security guard made it known that since the event started, Nelly hadn't come into the house. What do you mean by you can't find Nelly? He is somewhere. Keep searching and I'll search for him too. Aunt Olivia uttered. All right, I whispered. Aunt Olivia and I went in different directions to look for him. I sincerely hoped that my son was safe. Look who we have here, the popular and business-driven Sarah Tonks. A familiar voice spoke. As I turned, I met Fred, whose face beamed with joy. Fred was one of my business partners, who had always professed his love for me at every little chance he got. I wasn't in the mood to talk to him. Hi, Fred. Good to see you, but I am busy now. I uttered with a frown. I know, but I won't take much of your time. I have been expecting to get a response from you. We are made for each other, Sarah. Find a place in your heart for me, he said softly. I couldn't help but laugh. Fred, enough of the drama. You don't have a place in my heart. I have better things to deal with, and not relationship matters. I will treat you better than your ex-husband did, Anne. I raised my hand, implying for him to keep quiet. I was having a wonderful night, and I didn't want my past and bitter memories to ruin it. I have to go, I said as I walked away. Give me a chance. I could hear Fred's faint voice. If only Fred knew that my son matters to me more than any man in the world. I had checked the garden and the parking lot, but I couldn't find Nellie. Crazy thoughts filled my head. Could it be that Nellie was kidnapped? Or did one of the cars run over him and try to cover it up? I could barely think straight. Just then my phone rang. It was Aunt Olivia. Did you find him? I asked quickly as though I was expecting her call. Yeah, her calm voice filled my ears. I heaved in relief. I don't think I would have survived if anything bad had happened to my son. She described where they were, and I ended the call to meet with them. Getting into the hall, my eyes fell on Aunt Olivia, who was standing beside a table around which 3 people were seated. I could only see their backs. Where is Nellie? I asked as I approached her. With an unreadable expression, she pointed to someone. When I locked my gaze with the people whose backs I had seen earlier, I couldn't believe my eyes. My past was hunting me. Nellie was in the company of Caleb and Silas. Caleb could barely look at me, but his best friend, Silas, made the first move. Hi, Sarah. It is good to see you. To be candid, your event is one of its kind. Silas chimed happily. Hi, Silas. I managed to reply as I carried my son. Haven't I warned you to stay away from strangers? I scolded Nellie. With tears brewing in his eyes, he said, They are my friends. He paused and pointed to Caleb. He gave me water when I was thirsty. I found it difficult to gulp down saliva. Was it so easy for people to make friends? As I turned to leave, his familiar voice that once sent chills down my body got me angry. Why are you ignoring me? Aren't you happy to see your husband? I widened my eyes. Nellie was too tender to be hearing such words. Aunt Olivia understood my expression and took Nellie from my arms and left. Caleb, you are not my husband. Stay away from me. I wondered who invited them to the event. Were they here to see how everything would turn out? Were they here to see how successful I had become after my failed marriage? Their views about me are invalid. I hoped they hadn't revealed their identity to Nellie. Caleb's lips parted slowly. We have to talk. There is nothing to talk about, I yelled. That was a lie. There was a lot to talk about. He needed to explain why he treated me like a scumbag and tossed me out of his life for no just cause. Maybe things would work between us again if he opened up and admitted his error. I deserved an explanation from him. But at this point, Caleb was my bitter past, and it is best if it remains so. His presence just opened up wounds that had healed. As Caleb was about to speak, Silas interrupted. Sarah, please talk about what happened with Caleb. I will excuse you both. You don't have to leave. The past remains in the past. I don't want to have anything to do with him, I said. Wait, but is that kid your son? Caleb asked with a confused expression. Hey, Sarah, some of the guests want to leave so they don't miss their flights. You have to bid them farewell. Josh uttered as he approached me. I gave a nod. Thank goodness. I said inwardly. Josh had just saved me from a dreadful question. Josh went on to ask, and who are these people? Without mincing words, I pointed to Caleb. My ex-husband, Caleb. Next, I pointed to Silas. And this is his best friend, Silas. Josh placed his hands around my shoulder, and I noticed the anger in Caleb's eyes. Good to see the two of you. Sarah has told me a lot about you guys. Josh said. I could read Caleb's expression. He wondered who Josh was to me, and if he thinks I told him how inconsiderate he was up to the time of our divorce, then he is right. But concern pricked my heart, as I wondered how Caleb felt seeing me in another man's arms. Although it will be nothing compared to how I felt when he chose Laura over me. With mixed feelings, I held Josh's arms as we left their presence. Chapter 8. Caleb. She has moved on. With a low voice, I said to Silas when we got into the car. Give her time. It is a lot for her to chew at the moment. He replied. Tapping my shoulder, he added. If she has found true happiness in another man, then you have to let her go. He continued. I will take you home, because I don't want you to hit the car against the trunk of a tree. The concern in his voice didn't go unnoticed. I wasn't in my right senses to do anything at the moment. Silas understands me a lot. Does that kid look like me? I asked with a furrowed brow. Which kid? He fixed his gaze on the steering, feigning ignorance. There is something I want to find out, I said grudgingly. How is the kid supposed to look like you? Are you his father? He said sarcastically. Okay, do you think the man who came to meet her while she was with us is better than me? I asked. The right person to answer that is Sarah, Silas muttered. I expressed, not satisfied with his response. Soon we arrived at my house. I got out of the car and asked Silas to drive the car to his house, and I will pick it up the next day. That was the least I could do, for him ensuring I got home in one piece. What kind of business kept you out till the odd hours of the day? Laura's cold voice welcomed me the moment I came into the sitting room. Where are you coming from? I didn't expect to meet her awake, because she always goes to bed early. I guess it is one of those days she is ready to cause trouble. Noticing that I ignored her, she screamed. Don't ignore me, Caleb. I need answers. My business is mine and not yours to be worried about, I replied coldly. As expected, you won't say it. How long do you think you can keep it away from me? Your business is to go about trying to get the attention of your ex-wife, right? She uttered angrily. I froze at that spot. After a few seconds, I looked at her and asked, What do you mean? It is all over social media and the national news channel. I saw you and Silas because I followed the event from the beginning to the end. It was so foolish of me not to connect the dots. Are you thinking of winning that thing over again? Is she the reason you act coldly towards me? She said with confidence and disdain etched in her voice. Sarah's brand has grown beyond what I had thought. Only verified and top-notch brands are aired on national news channels. I have to correct my mistakes. My actions will speak better. Laura has to understand that a lot has changed. Yeah, I attended the event. I was specially invited, I said unapologetically. I see, so when will our union be legal? And it is high time we invest all it takes to have our babies. She spoke as though she was insecure about something. I am tired and need to rest. Good night. Curtly, I replied, not bothering to give her an answer. Laura had more things to say. Don't ever think of choosing her over me. I won't take it lightly with you. She is in the past, let her remain so. Are you after her success? What if she has been sleeping around to achieve such a great milestone within a short time? I wanted to vent my anger by punching her, but I ignored her and went to my room, ensuring the door was properly locked. I chose Laura over Sarah because I felt I loved her more, and the way she showered me with care. But I can't even say who Laura is to me. Is she my concubine, side chick, mistress, or bed warmer? One fact is that I haven't married her, so I can't call her my wife. I felt Laura had a mission over me and she was successful. I heard footsteps approaching my room. It had to be Laura. It was just the two of us staying in the house. She banged the door hard. Open this door. You can't pretend like I don't exist. You need to choose either her or me. Get out, I whispered. As though she heard me, she left nagging and cursing Sarah. I fell flat on my bed and pulled out my phone. I stared at the little boy picture that I had taken earlier. Why was I seeing myself in him? Yet I felt the man she introduced us earlier also had a link to the boy. Although through our years of marriage, she had never for once told me she was pregnant. I and Laura have been having unprotected S**x, but she has never said anything like getting pregnant. Could it be that the problem is from me? If I have a problem, then how can the kid resemble me? While I was drowning in my thoughts, the beep from my phone drew my attention. When I checked the phone, I saw a message from Silas. I arrived home 10 minutes ago. I hope you were able to handle Laura with wisdom. You brought all this upon yourself. I know how you feel, but honestly, there is little or nothing I can do. You have to save yourself and do the right thing. See you tomorrow, my guy. After reading it, I threw the phone to the bed. Silas was right, I have to do the right thing. I have to save myself, Cox. I am gradually losing it. With my clothes on, I went to my bathtub and laid in it with the water to the brim. With my eyes closed, I enjoyed the quiet moment. At this point, it wasn't only about Sarah, but the identity of the kid I met earlier. Chapter 9. Caleb. I can't tell how many hours I stayed in the bathtub, but when I opened my eyes, the day was so bright, and the ray of the sun found its way into my room. I managed to remove my wet clothes and have a proper bath. It was Saturday, so I planned to remain indoors all through. Next, I wore a casual outfit and picked up my phone. I made my way to my study room, whose door was linked to my room. Scrolling through my phone, I saw that I had missed 5 calls from Silas. I smiled and called him back. "Where the hell have you been?" he asked the moment he picked up the call. "Sleeping," I uttered. "Wow, you must have been dreaming about Sarah, which is why you woke up this late." Silas teased. "Come off it, I need to rest. It is weekend, by the way," I said as I switched on my laptop. "Yeah, it's weekend, but your secretary had sent several reminders of the scheduled meeting with our new partner, and you didn't reply." He paused. "It starts in 20 minutes. After the call, I checked my emails and saw all the unread messages. I logged in for the meeting as I waited for it to commence. I couldn't help but think about Sarah as I looked at the screen. Soon, the meeting started, and all participants, including Silas, were clearly seen. I widened my eyes when I saw Sarah on the screen. I looked at her deeply, carefully admiring, and trying to figure out the room she was in. "It is good to have all of you on board," said Michael. Michael was the new partner my organization just got. He was working on an international project and needed us to produce quality fabrics of different textures and quality. I never knew Sarah would also be involved in this project. "Thank you, sir," Sarah uttered first while Silas and I followed suit. I could read the surprise on Silas' face, but we were in a meeting, and mixing personal affairs with business won't speak well of us. Mr. Michael initially said it was going to be a physical meeting, but after 2 days he sent a notification that the meeting would be virtual. I think Sarah knew that she would be working with me on this project, and convinced Michael to make the meeting virtual, because she wanted to avoid me at all costs. "Caleb, while you and your team work on the production and availability of the fabric, Sarah, here will see to the production of unique designs," Michael said with a bright smile. "I will be working on the same project with Sarah. How efficient will I be? I need help." I could see Michael and Silas staring at me with their expression, expecting me to say something. Sarah went on to speak with an unreadable expression. "Noted, sir. I will give my best." Jolting out of my thoughts, with so many things jumbled in my head, I remained calm. "All right, Mr. Michael. You have the best hands on this project." After 15 minutes of deliberating on how to go about everything, we ended the meeting. I leaned on my chair as I expected to receive Silas's call, but it never came. My heart was heavy. It seems henceforth everything about me will be connected to Sarah. I heard sounds that were produced from my stomach. After some minutes of hesitation, I made my way to the kitchen. It then dawned on me that Laura hadn't come to my door to cause a nuisance. It could be she was waiting for me to come out, so that she could unleash the devil in her. I just hoped I would be able to tolerate her. "Hey darling, you came down late for breakfast. Are you fine?" she asked romantically. I was confused. She was the same person that nagged at me yesterday, because I went to Sarah's event. What could she be up to now? I know she isn't so calm as she behaves now. "Yeah, I just finished a meeting," I said calmly. I went to the dining room to find a plate of fried potatoes and fried egg. For some minutes, I wondered if she wanted to use the food to hurt me. I don't think she had the mind to be so wicked. Reluctantly, I ate the food and gulped down lots of water. As I made my way back to my room, I met Laura sitting in the living room. "When will we visit a gynecologist?" she asked. "What for?" I asked, opening my arms. She hurriedly stood akimbo. "For how long are we going to be on this matter? Don't you want our relationship to work?" she said. "I am going through a lot at the moment. Please give me time," I pleaded. When I returned to my room, I called Silas to come over with my car, so we could visit our favorite ice cream joint. 20 minutes later, Silas arrived. I went out to meet him. Thank goodness Laura wasn't in the living when I left the house. Inside the car, he pushed my head. "Don't disrupt my schedule next time," he said before igniting the car. "Really? The last I checked, I am older than you," I said, pointing at him while faking seriousness. "With just 2 months older, my ass." We both laughed out loud. We got talking about the meeting we had earlier, but Silas assured me working with Sarah will be to my advantage. Soon we arrived at the ice cream joint and placed our order. While seated, A small voice suddenly said, "Hey, uncles." Turning back, we saw Nelly. He looked so happy and quickly ran to us. I couldn't help but smile as I rubbed his hair. "How are you? Who are you here with?" Silas asked. "I am here with Uncle Josh. He went to pick something from the car," he said, pointing to a black car across the road. "Would you like to join us?" Holding his hand, I asked with a smile. Before Nelly could reply, a young man walked over. It was the same man who was all over Sarah at her event. "Nelly, but I asked you not to interact with anyone." "Uncle Josh, I am sorry, but they are my friends. Let's go." Without uttering a word to us, he pulled Nelly away from me. I could feel the disgust in Josh's eyes as though we were enemies.